In terms of the support that I received post-operation, I think the greatest part was actually after I started to participate in those support groups through Pancare. I was prescribed a medication to help relieve some of my after-meal cramps, which I get. When I was prescribed the medications, the specialist just said to me, you take one with a meal or you take two, you've got to sort of just gradually work out. There's no dosage, you just got to gradually work out. When I started attending these groups, there were other participants who were also on this medication. And so people just talked about it and I learned a lot. Things that are specific to, I guess, many patients, all patients who've had this type of surgery, is that your stomach capacity is reduced. So already I couldn't, can't eat as much as I used to. In order to, I guess, compensate for the amount of calorie intake and nutrient intake, I have to eat not only smaller meals but more frequently. The other aspect of the operation, which is, I guess, again, common to many, if not all, patients who've had this type of surgery, is dealing with the reflux. For example, avoiding lying down for at least 45 minutes after a meal. And of course, any other activities that involves, say, for example, bending over, all those kind of things which would promote reflux, we need to avoid doing. And similarly, say, for the evening meal, having it earlier on and making sure that, I don't eat such a heavy meal. And giving enough time before bedtime so that the foods had time to at least pass through to avoid the chance of reflux overnight. And then also the sleeping position changes, of course. So now I sleep with my head higher than my chest or abdomen. And the other thing, of course, is traveling, which means that I have to bring these medications with me and ensure that I've brought enough along to cover all the meals of the trip. There is a lot of trial and error because we're given advice as to what to eat and what not to eat. And of course, after the surgery, it takes up to a year before we can return to a so-called normal diet. I think the things that helped me, and really these were things in that initial part of the journey soon after the diagnosis, was just keeping busy, just so that your mind's occupied and you don't try not to let too many negative thoughts in, basically. During the daytime, at least, that helped. But during the nighttime, of course, that's when you're meant to be resting, and that's when the brain starts to, you start to think about a lot of negative things. And I guess the only thing that really helped me then was prayer, spirituality, which I know is something that's not for everyone. But in those times when I really did feel quite helpless, it was an anchor. It provided an anchor for my emotions, provided comfort to know that there's a higher being that hopefully, is looking after me and guiding me through this difficult period in my time. And I guess the third thing is support, to have a good support network. Initially, I didn't have access to, I call them professional organizations like the Cancer Council and Pancare. I had a support group of friends and relatives, and it's good to know that people care. So those are the main things that really helped me through mentally, I guess.